Cayman in the Cayman Islands. For the record, proudly brought to you by
Coca-Cola. Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery. Inspiring luxury. West Bay Pharmacy. Taking care of your health. And JN Money.
From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066. And the Ministry of Sustainability and Climate Resiliency. Visit energy.gov.ky or follow the National Energy Policy on Facebook and Instagram. And by the STEPS 2023 National Health Survey. Visit gov.ky/steps to learn more.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees. So fair. Today is Wednesday, the 26th day of April 2023. Right here in the beautiful Cayman Islands, we hope and we trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable evening. Those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, whether you're a pedestrian, a cyclist, or if you're operating any type of motorized vehicle, we urge you to please, please, please be extremely cautious. Ensure that you observe the rules of the road. If by some accident, and I apologize for the pun, but if by some accident you happen to get your driver's license without knowing all of the rules of the road, without knowing how to properly operate a vehicle, then we urge you to please get yourself familiar with the rules of the road and how to properly drive on our roads. If you do so, not only will the life you save may be your own, but you may also save the lives of others. We all have an obligation to act responsibly and legally on our roads. That responsibility also rests with the government, governmental agencies as well. That should include ensuring that we have robust licensing and testing arrangements for those persons who we are going to put on the roads of the Cayman Islands to operate vehicles. That is extremely important. For those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, we want to wish you a happy birthday, or if you celebrated one over the past few days, a belated happy birthday to you as well. And to remind you that the For the Record birthday shoutouts are proudly brought to you by life insurance agent Michael Webster from Cayman Insurance Center, whose advice to you is to make the right decisions for your family's future today. And also, For the Record birthday shoutouts are brought to you by More Than Words, your gateway to local books and more. Connect to your culture, tap into your roots. More Than Words, located on the second floor of the Thompson Building. For those of you who have lost loved ones, and again, this morning we want to extend our sincere condolences to the family of the young man who lost his life yesterday in a motor vehicle accident. We want to extend our sincere condolences to you. We hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these extremely challenging times, and that the memories of your loved ones will be a blessing to you as well. Those of you who are ill and are either at home or at a medical facility here in the Cayman Islands, we wish you a speedy recovery. So, folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension, For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that period, our phone lines are open. Beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson again this morning, waiting to take your calls. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flo. That toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. Email us at fortherecord, one word, fortherecord at candw.ky. WhatsApp us 925-3261. Follow us on YouTube by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream, and we are on Facebook as well. And just for those of you who wish to call in, the phone lines will not be open at first. We have representatives from the Lands and Survey Department in the studio with us. We will encourage you. We'll tell you what we will be talking about. We will encourage you, if you have any questions or observations, to either email them to us or send them by WhatsApp, and we will have our panelists in the studio respond to your queries as well. So before we go there, let's look at the birthdays being celebrated today. So we have Mr. Donald Edwin Hurlston, who's celebrating his birthday. Rich Vern Ebanks celebrating a birthday as well. And it looks like this may be the 37th anniversary of the opening of La Esperanza restaurant in the BRAC. We believe that's what that is, because we know La Esperanza is a location, very beautiful location in the BRAC, a restaurant, bar and restaurant there as well. Miss Denise Warren also celebrating a birthday today, and Miss Tanya Ramjeet also. We also have been asked to acknowledge the birthday greetings. Let me find. Tomorrow we have Miss Rosita Borden celebrating a birthday. Letitia Ebanks celebrating a birthday tomorrow. MacArthur Lewis and Vashti Borden also celebrating their birthdays tomorrow. And there is one more here that I need to find, where I was asked to repeat for our audience. I will have to find that later. And yes, Chandra Connolly, Lesma, and Edwin Hurlston, all celebrating birthdays today? Yes. Okay. I'll find those and do a better job, during the course of the show as well for that. And to remind you that the birthday shout-outs proudly brought to you by life insurance agent Michael Webster from Cayman Insurance Center, whose advice to you is to make the right decision for your family's future today. Also, More Than One, your gateway to local books and more. Connect to your culture, tap into your roots. More Than One words, located on More Than Words, located on the second floor of the Thompson building. So, folks, with that, bear in mind, phone lines are not open yet. We have representatives from the Lands and Survey Department continuing our discussion with them, celebrating 50 years of the Lands and Survey Department. And we have the pleasure of having in the studio with us Miss Sophia Williams and Mr. Uche. Uche, sorry, Uche, in the studio with us. Folks, good morning.
Morning.
Welcome back to For the Record.
Morning. Thank you for accommodating us. Thank you.
Okay, and what we'll be talking about today?
Okay, what we want to do is that just recap why we're here
Yes.
and what we've done up to date. And then we're going to talk about something that we're excited to announce to the general public. And then we're going to talk about the Northside Town Hall meeting on Thursday.
Great.
And then after that, we'll take questions if we have time, yeah.
Okay.
So we're celebrating our 50th anniversary. The department was established in 1972. So really, the 50th anniversary was last year because, as we all well know, due to COVID, we had to postpone it by a year. So what we're doing to celebrate our 50th anniversary is to go around town halls because our celebration is focused on celebrating the past and shaping the future. And we want to take this opportunity just to thank the members of the public for the support over the last 50 years. So what we're doing is we're going from town hall to town hall to meet the public, telling them what we do and answering any of their questions. We started in the BRAC, and then we've had the East End Town Hall meeting, and then we're going to Northside on Thursday. So that's just a rough sort of overview of what we're doing and what we're celebrating and why we want to go out there, and we want to encourage as many people as possible to come out and meet us, find out what we're doing and ask questions about their land-related matters.
Mm-hmm. And in the BRAC, you have a separate office in the BRAC. How does the BRAC function in coordination with the main office there? How does it
the BRAC has a land surveyor there, so they do surveys.
Okay.
They have a registry team, and they take documents in and then pass those documents on to us, and we process them. We're trying to go electronic as much as possible so they can share the documents with us online, and then we do all the processing and send it back to them, and then they send it out.
And we see more and more activity in the BRAC now as far as real estate is concerned, and we see more property being offered there. Do you see the need to boost the service in any way there as a result of the increased demand?
Yeah, but our stats don't show any increased activity in the BRAC over and above what it would normally be.
Okay.
So at the moment there's not that need. But what we are trying to discuss is I think really the need is in land surveying and doing surveying of property. So we have an additional land surveyor in the BRAC now. He went there about 2 months ago. What we're trying to find out or trying to establish if we can get a trainee land surveyor, a Kimanian, so that there's somebody local who can do it. And it gives them an opportunity, youngsters, an opportunity to join the department as well. So we're exploring that at the moment.
Okay, BRACers, you're listening to that? I hope you're listening.
Yeah. I mean, when we were in the BRAC, we had a town hall. We went to the school and we did a presentation to the school. And we had some interest from some of the students. So we're hoping that we will be able to give them an opportunity to come and see what we do, over the summer. So.
Excellent. Ms. Williams, good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. I want you to say hello to our listening and viewing audience before we go to a commercial break.
Thank you. Good morning. Happy to be back.
Okay. And what sort of response have you been getting from those meetings in terms of the public?
The town hall meeting in the BRAC was really good. We had over 50 people attend, and they were asking questions. The way we organize the town hall is that we have a general session just talking about the different departments and what they do. And then after that, we're going to breakout sessions because we realize that sometimes people don't want to share the business in public. They want to one-on-one with you. So we've had that, and we get more interaction then. Also, we got the general registry team join us. So just not only lands and survey, because
and the Department of Planning.
And the Department of Planning as well. So not just us. So they can ask the planning-related questions and the general registry questions as well. So it's been quite good on the BRAC. And East End, we didn't get as many people, but we got a really interactive bunch. They were really, really interactive. Lots of questions. It was a great time with them, yeah.
Excellent. Okay.
And we got prizes as well.
Oh, okay.
Got lots of prizes to give out, so we've got food as well. So it's a great time together, just meeting people and, talking about what we do.
That is great. I think... every government department should engage in some way in that public dialogue, getting out there, meeting people, rubbing shoulders with them. They can see those. And it makes it much easier for you to explain what you do, and also to the expectations that the public may have, those expectations, to be able to explain why certain things happen, why certain things don't happen. As a matter of fact, you're going to be explaining one of the processes and making a new announcement this morning as well, but we won't give that away. We want people to continue to listen. We're going to take a commercial break. Folks, to remind you that they will be on until 8:30. So after the 8 o'clock news, they will remain here. We would encourage you that during that period of time, if you have any questions or comments, please share them with us via email or by WhatsApp. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
Lawrence Edwin Farrington, 1908 through 1981. Eddie Farrington started his seafaring career on a turtling vessel at the young age of 12. He went on to sail on schooners, serving as cook, sailor, and mate before sailing on steamships. He joined the Merchant Marine in 1926. In 1940, during World War II, while traveling on the SS Stanport carrying supplies from New York to England, the crew was captured by Germans, who then torpedoed their ship. They were fortunate in that the norm was to torpedo the ship with the crew aboard. Eddie spent 4 years in a concentration camp in Germany along with 6 other Caymanians, and there he learned the trade of shoemaking. Upon his return to Cayman, he employed his new skills in making and repairing shoes during breaks between trips to sea, and he taught quite a few young men, including his son, the trade. He also contributed his skills to the community by repairing footballs and cricket balls free of charge. He retired from sea in 1975.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community, a traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
They say you only live once. I say you only die once, but you live every day. I'm Michael Webster from Cayman Insurance Center, longtime supporter of Radio Cayman. Live your life, my friends. Happiness is in the journey, not the destination. When you're ready, I'm here to support you with the best financial decisions for your family's future. Cayman Insurance Center, protecting you and your family so you can take back your future. I'm Michael Webster, the sure way to protect your family. Call me when you're ready at 925-5433. Don't take chances with your family's future or your valuable assets.
Think life insurance.
More Than Words, your gateway to local books and more. Connect to your culture. Tap into your roots. More Than Words bookstore in the Thompson Building. Supplies local books, gifts, trinkets, keepsakes, wall plaques, and journals. The hub for local authors. More Than Words. so much more. More Than Words is now open. Shop number 4, second floor, Thompson Building, or call 936-5544.
There you go, sir. Thanks for choosing JN Money Transfer.
Boy, thanks to JN Money Transfer, I can stay right here in Cayman and pay mama bills back home in Jamaica. Her water, light, phone and other bills never late. Every month I pay everything in one place.
Make payments to over 30 companies in Jamaica through JN Money Transfer. Fast, affordable, convenient. Call 1-800-744-1163 for details.
Are you feeling sick, but don't feel ill enough to go to the doctor? Ask your pharmacist for advice. Here at West Bay Pharmacy, our pharmacists have been trained to offer helpful, easy-to-understand advice on the treatment of everyday minor ailments for yourself and all the family. Anything from headaches, cough and sore throat, to cold sores, our pharmacists will know when medical help is needed and will not hesitate to refer you to your doctor if your symptoms demand it. Like doctors, our pharmacists have a professional code, which means all personal information you give them will be treated in the strictest confidence. Visit us today at West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
I tell you what, I need to find a way to bring my electricity costs down. I don't want to see another high bill next month.
Have you tried doing an energy audit?
A what?
An energy audit. The do-it-yourself energy audits on energy.gov.ky make it easy to find ways to save energy and money in your home or business.
Oh yeah? I'm going to log on to that website right now. What was it again?
Visit energy.gov.ky to download do-it-yourself energy audits for your home or business. There is even a fun activity guide for kids.
Complete an energy audit of your home or business before 31st of May 2023 to be entered into a prize giveaway. Prizes include a $5,000 gift certificate to Home Gas and gift certificates to Cooling Pros, Foam Pros, Costulest, and Foster's.
Visit energy.gov.ky today and follow the National Energy Policy on Facebook and Instagram.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you're remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
Heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and respiratory illnesses are among the top causes of death in Cayman every year. From June 3rd until July 31st, the Ministry of Health and Wellness will conduct the STEPS 2023 National Health Survey to better understand the prevalence of non-communicable diseases within our nation. Log on to www.gov.ky/steps to learn more.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record in our continuing series with the Lands and Survey Department while they celebrate their 50th anniversary and also their district meetings that they have been having to communicate with the public. Here on Radio Cayman, we continue to feature them as well, and my pleasure to have in the studio with me the director, Mr. Uche Obi, as well as Miss Sophia Williams. So, folks, I'm going to pass the microphone back over to you. Just one more reminder to our listening and viewing audience. They will be here until 8:30, so we will have the 8 o'clock news. After the news, they will still be on air. If you have any questions or observations based on anything that they may share with you or may not share with you, then please email them to us or WhatsApp. 925-3261 is the WhatsApp. For the Record at candw.ky. Emails, Mr.
Okay, I'm going to pass the mic over to Miss Sophia
Okay.
Williams, the Registrar of Land, and she's going to speak about something we're really excited to offer to the public as part of our 50th anniversary celebration.
Great.
Thank you, Uche. One of the things that we looked at, as Uche said, is how we can give back to members of the public, having given us great support over the last 50 years. And we're pleased to announce that Cabinet has granted approval for the waiver of registration fees for persons to rectify their addresses or their names that appear on the register. And that goes on now for at least until the 30th of June. So we really want to tell persons that really the importance of getting your names and address correct. And we recognize how important that is in the registration process to preserve the integrity of the records. And we said it's $50. We're celebrating 50 years, so we're waiving $50, right? So it's really important in getting that particular information correct. And we just want to encourage persons to use this opportunity and get your records updated and the registers updated. Our staff is aware. We'd be happy to provide all the information. We have a lot of information on our website, in the forms, guidance notes. And what would really be, we really want to encourage persons to use this opportunity, take advantage of this opportunity. Update your names. Persons may have gotten married. There could have been errors. And, update the address on the register. Persons constantly move. Your PO box may have changed. You may have migrated. And we just want to tell you, please come in, update the register so that we can maintain the integrity of the register, and that in the event of any notices or any interest affecting your property, we can notify you promptly.
So how significant then is it for a person for that consistency, if you own more than one property, to ensure that each property has the same information on it? How important that is in terms of, if you, for some reason, someone wanted to make a search, or you want to search and say, well, I'd like a record of all of the properties that I own. But if I have one property in Orrett Connor, one property in Orrett Connor, one property in Orrett Connor Jr., how difficult does that make it?
It actually makes it a little difficult, and I'm so happy you asked, because what we find a lot of times is persons may come, and this happened particularly on the death of a landowner.
Yes.
And, some persons are not very, a lot of persons may not make a will. So there's no formal record that the family has of all the properties that a deceased persons own. So when you come to register and ask us to search for Orrett Connor, any computer system is as good as what you put in, right? So when we put in Orrett Connor, it may not return all the property that you actually own because of the variations in your name. So we may therefore, so we get a lot of requests. Amazingly, we get a lot of requests from persons who say, my parents own property, or we're looking after this estate, we know the deceased own property, could you do a search of these names? And then we reach out to them and we tell them that you have to give us the different variations that you think they may have. And surprisingly, a lot of persons may have, like, just the examples you gave, or even we've seen persons, for example, who don't like their first name. So they start using, like, probably O.Lance Connor because they just didn't like the first name. So they will just start going by their middle names. And, and it may be that they don't give all this information to their loved ones. So it makes it particularly difficult when they have passed. There's no will, there's no record that shows all the properties that this person owns.
Okay. And how long does this rectification process, how long does it usually take?
The rectification process may take about 10 to 15 days for us to register. So what I really want to tell persons, people may think it's pretty straightforward, what's in a name? But actually, if we get that name wrong, the ramifications are huge. And it's just one of the things that I wanted to discuss with persons. They may say, for example, we see so many different variations that we have discussed. And you may say there are minor errors, a minor spelling such as an with an E or without an E. And it may not seem like a major problem on the face of it, but however, if we accept something that may have an "an" with an "e" and it didn't have one on the register, and somebody comes forward at a later date to say that wasn't me, and at that point we are not able to verify that it is, because it doesn't. I know it may sound, persons may say it's just an "e," but then the persons could come forward and they say that was not me, and that is a huge ramification, because we guarantee the registers, we guarantee that we're doing certain checks on behalf of the members of the public. So it's really very important to get the name right, because we're trying to do the integrity of name validation. We're trying to maintain the identification verification process to make sure that we are dealing with only the registered owner.
Okay. Folks, we reached the top of the hour, 8 o'clock news. When we return, the conversation with representatives from the Lands and Survey Department will continue, so please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Connor, and studio time by Foster's is 8 o'clock.
At Foster's, we have over 70 big deals to help you save more on your groceries.
Just like St. Ives Facial Scrub, 6 ounce, just $4.39, save $2.20. Or locally made boxed meals, 10 ounce, selected varieties, only $8.49, save $2.
And you'll also find a Checo pasta sauce, 400 gram varieties, $3.59, save $1. Head in store for more great specials or shop online with Foster's Go. Foster's, better prices because we care.
Price is good until May 3rd, 2023.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman-Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's best news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. After a busy but, quote, wonderful first few days in Cayman, Her Excellency the Governor Jane Owen spent her first day in the Government Administration Building on Monday. She tells Radio Cayman this week she's focusing on introductory meetings, learning as much as she can to develop a, quote, real understanding of Cayman's history, culture, and heritage.
I'll spend Saturday on the sister islands, and I'm very much looking forward to meeting the community there.
Ms. Owen has a very busy schedule before she heads to London next week to attend the coronation of His Majesty the King and the Joint Ministerial Council alongside Cayman's Premier.
I want to let my colleagues know I'm very gracious and humbled by their support to be elected to the post of Deputy Speaker.
Parliament gets a new Deputy Speaker. The Honourable Isaac Rankin was elected on Friday with 11-4 of the votes over the opposing candidate, Barbara Connolly. The House also changed the membership of 2 House committees. Deputy Premier, the Honourable Juliana O'Connor Connolly, has replaced MP Chris Saunders on the Standing Business Committee. And as you heard right here on Radio Cayman, West Bay West MP, the Honourable Makiba Bush, will take Mr. Saunders' spot on the Public Accounts Committee. Parliament resumes today with a strategic policy statement expected to be presented by the Premier. Make sure to tune into our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, to hear the proceedings live. And in other news, the annual collection of bulk waste begins on May 1st in the District of West Bay.
Over the next 4 weeks, the Department of Environmental Health collection crews will be out in full force collecting hundreds of tons of bulk waste. We need your cooperation to make this exercise a successful one, as there will not be any extension, and this exercise will replace the traditional November schedule. Let us work together to keep the Cayman Islands clean while preparing for the hurricane season.
That was Department of Environmental Health Director Richard Sims urging residents to prepare. DEH asks residents to separate their items ahead of the week assigned for collection in their respective areas. Any bulk waste that is put out after the announced dates will not be collected. Household appliances, furniture, and other items too large to be handled by the weekly DEH collection crews should be placed by the roadside, where it is easily accessible to DEH collection crews. Metals and vegetation should also be separated from other bulk items. Residential garbage should, however, be stored in sturdy garbage containers prior to its collection. Garbage will be collected in accordance with DEH weekly residential schedules. Persons are required to make alternative arrangements to transport to the nearest landfill any construction and demolition debris, hazard material, electronics and tires, as these items will not be collected during the bulk waste removal activity. For additional information, contact the DEH at 949-6696, email DEH customer service at gov.ky, or visit gov.ky. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Karsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with Julie Candler. A fragile 3-day ceasefire continues to hold in Sudan despite reports of intermittent violence. Clashes were reported overnight in northern Khartoum and across the Nile in Omdurman. There are claims the paramilitary RSF have seized an oil refinery 70 kilometres north of the capital. President Xi Jinping has held a much-anticipated phone call with Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky, who described the talks as long and meaningful. Mr. Xi said China had always stood on the side of peace in the Ukraine crisis, and that talks and negotiation were the only way out of the war. The Kremlin has warned it could widen the list of foreign companies whose assets are taken under Russian control. On Tuesday, President Putin signed a decree enabling such measures and specifying that Russia had already taken charge of the local assets of 2 state-owned European energy companies. A senior Iranian cleric has been killed. Ayatollah Abbas Ali Soleimani was a member of the Assembly of Experts responsible for appointing Iran's supreme leader. He was 88. The regional governor said he was shot by a security guard inside a bank. Iran's Supreme Court has approved the death sentence of a German-Iranian man accused of planning deadly bombings as the leader of a US-based monarchist group. Jamshid Sharmad is believed to have been abducted by Iranian agents in Dubai. The police watchdog in Northern Ireland has found that the family of a nationalist councillor murdered 5 decades ago were failed by the police as a result of a wholly inadequate investigation. BBC News.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Doing a kitchen renovation? At Granite Express Cayman, we can help you with fresh new kitchen cabinets and countertops in less than 4 weeks. When designing your dream kitchen, it's important to balance timeless features that reflect your personality and design aesthetic. Granite Express Cayman is offering a great package rate for custom-built cabinets, kitchen respray, and kitchen countertops with granite and quartz stone. Call 922-0424 for a free estimate. Granite Express Cayman, friendly service and fast installation. Hurry, offers valid while supplies last. Visit graniteexpresscayman.com.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the people's station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
Good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 82 degrees. Relative humidity is 75%. The barometric pressure is 29.92 inches and rising. The winds are light and variable at 2 knots. Overnight low temperature was 77 degrees. Synopsis indicate Light winds and seas are expected to continue across the Cayman area over the next 24 hours as the pressure gradient remains weak across the Caribbean. Satellite images show a few low clouds over the Cayman area. Now, the forecast for today calling for mainly sunny skies with a 30% chance of afternoon showers, and temperatures today will be in the mid-80s with a heat index of 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds will be east to southeast at 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be smooth with wave heights of less than 2 feet. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of late-night showers, and temperatures falling to the mid-70s tonight. Winds will be east to southeast at 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be smooth with wave heights of less than 2 feet as well. Today's low tide will occur this morning at 10:52, high tide this afternoon at 3:32, and a low tide again tonight at 9:21. The sun will set this evening at 6:45 and will rise tomorrow morning at 6. And the outlook is calling for an increase in winds and seas from Friday morning as a ridge builds over the northwest Caribbean. That's the very latest on your weather report.
Advice from your Aunt Angie. If you want to go scuba diving on your vacation, don't bedazzle your wetsuit. And you think you look great, but what you don't realize is that you look like a shiny, scaly fish. And it won't take long for a shark to notice you. Next thing you know, you're busting out every karate move you got. But if you're smart, you'll have CG medical insurance and get airlifted out to the closest hospital.
Get coverage for emergency evacuations. CG Brit-K. Good like that. All benefits are subject to policy provisions, including eligibility at the time of service.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Brit-K, where people come first.
Take some advice from your Aunt Angie. If you're going to invest in an exotic pet, choose anything but a Norwegian forest cat. Apparently, they will eat all your jewelry. Before you know it, you're racing to the vet when your cat escapes from his carrier and lunges for your earrings. You crash and your cat swallows your pearls. But if you're smart, you'll have CG motor insurance and get the best comprehensive coverage for the price.
Get the best comprehensive coverage for the price. CG Brit-K. Good like that. All benefits are subject to policy provisions, including eligibility at the time of service.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by Encourse Cayman. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman. Health, wellness, and happiness.
Achieving our goals is rewarding, but at times can feel frustrating, especially if and when we miss our target. As you approach your goals in life, set yourself up for success.
When setting your goals, adjust as necessary. Anticipate ups and downs. Often it will be easier to stick to some goals than others, so allow yourself to have some flexibility in your approach and assessment. Continue to dream and adjust the effort to maintain interest and motivation. Ask yourself, is this really my goal? If it is a goal imposed by others, then consider what may be in it for you. Why would you like to do this? There is always the option not to do it. Figure out why you're doing it and then go for it.
Change your thinking and change your life.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by Encourse Cayman. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman. Health, wellness, and happiness.
These days, feelings of loneliness, anxiety, stress, and depression can be overwhelming. Just know you are not alone. Encourse Cayman offers private mental health services for children, teens, adults, and groups. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman. Health, wellness, and happiness.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Good morning once again. Let's take a look this time at traffic. lot of patience needed this morning as you're headed down to Georgetown. If you're coming from the east, just past the Tomlinson roundabout, traffic is busy. Also on the Linford Pearson Highway, busy traffic on Cool Road heading to Georgetown, and eastbound traffic on Cool Road moving on moderately. As we look to the Esterly Tibbetts Highway, busy traffic coming off of there as well. And continuing on to North Sound Road, traffic is steady in both directions. Moderate flow of traffic from the roundabout heading towards the Industrial Park area. Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue flowing at a good pace. On the West Bay Road in front of the Ritz, traffic is moderate in both directions. And coming from the West Bay four-way stop, traffic flowing at a good pace. Coming off of Bobby Thompson Way, traffic is also busy. And busy traffic coming off of the Linford Pearson Highway on Agnes Way. Some delays expected. But that's what's happening on your roads. Join us again at about 10 minutes after 12 o'clock. We'll give you another traffic report. Have a good morning and drive safe.
When you're craving something big, something tasty that gives you that lip-smacking satisfaction, something that hits the spot, there is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
It's pretty tasty.
Filling and full of flavor. Try our new sweet onion steak teriyaki with a twist. Or the classic chicken teriyaki. Top it with green pepper, onions, cheese, and that sweet onion teriyaki sauce, all piled on your favorite artisanal bread. Satisfy that craving with a footlong from Subway.
Fresh, delicious, tasty, meaty.
Let's make it a meal with a drink, chips, and cookies. There is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Radio Cayman News.
I will well and truly serve the people of the Cayman Islands.
Mrs. Owen arrived this morning, met by an honor guard and dignitaries from all branches of government.
This will be the first time that the three arms of government will be overseen by women.
Your Excellency, on behalf of the government, we look forward to working with you.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
For the record with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, we have representatives from the Lands and Survey Department. Of course, they're celebrating their 50th anniversary. They have been having meetings within the islands. And before we left for our 8 o'clock news, we were talking about the waiver of rectification fees that has just been approved by Cabinet, and we're going to talk some more about that. But before we do that, so very quickly back to the birthday greetings. This person wanted to send greetings for their niece, Chandra Connolly, who's in Maryland, her friend Lesma in Cayman, and her church brother Edwin Hurlston of Palm Bay, Florida, as well. I know we repeated this before, but I wanted to do justice to it because I didn't do justice to it. So want to do that. And those are all coming from Miss Jewel as well. And Miss Trudy McLean in the back celebrating a birthday, as well. So I'm going to pass the mic back over to Mr. Uche and Miss Sophia Williams. Folks, back over to you.
Okay, so what we've been talking about is the rectification of fees when you want to correct any details on the land register. Cabinet has granted that for 90 days in celebration of our 50th anniversary, and typically costs $50 to do so. We're going to waive $50 for that. Now, Ms. Sophia is going to talk about the consequence of. So we want to talk about the process that we go through,
yes,
in terms of going through the rectification and what documents you need to submit. So, Sophia, please.
Okay, great. Thanks again, Uche. So I just want to bring out again to the members of the public that we are really trying to improve the quality of our work and reducing the requisitions, because what we have been found is one of the top reasons why we send documents back for registration when they're submitted to us. And if the names don't match up really the the reasons can be various reasons. Could be human error. Persons have gotten married. People may have divorced. The names don't match what is on their ID. And admittedly, in very, very rare cases, it could mean that there is some fraudulent registration. So we really try to make sure persons send us the correct documentation. So, for example, if you have changed your name by deed poll, and that happens a lot, then you're required to give us a copy of the official deed poll that would have been processed at, for example, General Registry. If you have changed your name by marriage, we're going to require a copy of the marriage certificate that we can verify your identity. And in some cases, depending on the transactions, we may ask you for a copy of a valid government photo ID, like a passport or a driver's license. What we want to tell persons as well is just make sure that the name on the register, the name on the marriage certificate, the name on your birth certificate, that they match. So, for example, if again we may ask questions if you have on the register Sophia Williams, if you have on the birth certificate, for example, Sophia Nadine Williams, and then you have on your marriage certificate a different name, and believe me, that happens. But we really have to ensure that the person who is named in that certificate or document you're sending to us, that it is the person who is authorized to make that rectification. We have spent a lot of time on the names, and one of the things that we want to get across to persons as well is the rectification is also very valid to your address. There are many times we serve notices to members of the public. We serve notices when persons are doing survey boundaries, so that we will give you sufficient time to say there is a survey that is going to take place at a particular time, in terms of date and time. And when those notices are served, that's your opportunity to appear at that boundary survey and to make sure that you're in agreement with the survey. If you're not in agreement, there's a process that we can go through. We also serve notices when persons are claiming an interest in your property. So, for example, which is, again, it's not a very popular application, but it does exist. If persons are applying for what we call a prescriptive easement, or persons are applying for adverse possession of a property, we serve notice on the registered owner to say, hey, there is a person who's making a claim to say that for X years they have been walking across your property, they have been driving across your property, and they're asking for that to be made formal without your consent. So we will serve notice on you and say, do you have any objections? What are your comments? Even more importantly, their persons may also apply to say that they have been in possession of your entire property or a part of your property. We then serve notice to say that we've received this application based on the evidence. If we're satisfied that they've given us sufficient evidence, based on the evidence, we think they have a good enough case to proceed. Do you have any objections? And in those circumstances, we serve notices all the time, and it's your opportunity to say, I'm not in agreement, I don't know what this is about. But if these notices are served and there's no responses, then their assumption could be made that there are no objections received and that you're not contesting the matter. So it's really very, very important that your address on the register is up to date, it is correct, because the law prescribes certain ways for us to serve notice. If we don't serve, if we serve notice by registered, and all our notices are served by registered mail. I think the last time we spoke about this, getting those registered slip. We're not, it's not a tax jurisdiction. Collect those notices, very important. And if the other way is that if we don't get you by mail, we then attempt another service, usually through the newspapers. But then you have to be reading the legal section of that newspaper. And for a lot of persons, they come forward months later to say that they were not notified. And we can provide proof that once it was mailed, we can provide proof that it was placed in the newspapers, and people miss these opportunities. So it's really very important that you really try to, I think it's a fantastic opportunity. You have to say thank you to Cabinet. It's a fantastic opportunity for persons to update their register. It's free of cost. Our staff would be more than happy to welcome you, to help you through that process as well.
Now, one of our, we have two questions that have arisen. One is that when you do make notifications in terms of adverse possession or a right-of-way or something, who actually adjudicates that? And person wanted to know the difference between boundary surveys, a fixed boundary survey and any other type, and whether in both instances it is something that has to be agreed upon?
Well, the first question in terms of the prescriptive rights or easement. So the first process. So the law lays out a particular process that you can use. If you have been using a particular right of way, for example, for 20 years, you have been using the right of way consistently. You have been doing it without threatening, without interruption, without consent of the owner. Then you can make an application to the land registry, to the registrar to say, and you'd have to provide the proof that you have been using it. You would have to tell us where you have been using, whether it's a northern boundary, how much you have been using, 15 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet, how you have been using it by walking, if it's a pedestrian right of way, if it's a vehicular right of way. And usually we ask that you provide us some, at least one corroborating evidence from an independent party to say, yes, they see you have been using it. Yes, we see that other persons have been using it. Once that application is made to us, and we would ask you then to give us like a sketch map at the very least, using our register map or some sketch map of the property, and you're going to show us where you have been using. And that's important because when we serve notice on the owner, we have to show him exactly what it is that you're claiming. And in that process, when that application comes in, we will consider it based on the evidence that you have provided. And if we're satisfied that on the face of the application you have at least met the minimum requirements set out in the law, then we serve notice. So if we're not satisfied, we will go back with certain questions, or we can refuse the application. If we're satisfied, however, that you have met the minimum requirements, we will serve notice on the registered proprietor, and we will also ask you to put it in the newspapers. And then we set a time for persons to submit their objections or any comments in writing.
Okay.
And if we receive no objections or comments, we will proceed with your application. If we, however, get objections or comments, we then may have to do a further investigation into your claim to see what are the objections and make a decision. Once we go through that process, and usually we issue a written decision, then the parties have 30 days to appeal, if they wish to appeal that decision to the Grand Court, and the appeal can only be made to the Grand Court.
Okay. And another question that we had is whether or not there is any legal requirement for you to, when it comes to the addresses, if what is in your registry, is there any legal obligation upon the Lands and Survey Department to go beyond that, to search beyond that, like for instance, to look in telephone directory or whatever to see, or whether or not you rely solely on what you have in your records?
So a lot of reliance is placed on what in the records, but not solely. So the law prescribes what we can do. And the first service, the first option, and the first that's available, and you can look at in the law, section 153, if I remember correctly, is that we serve on the address that's provided in the register. The second option is that we can provide service on you personally, but then we have to know where to find you. And we have to have, like, for example, a photo of you to know that that is actually you. So that becomes particularly difficult. So sometimes that is an option that is offered to the party. And the other option is service in the newspapers. And service in the newspapers is considered service to the world. So once we serve in the newspaper, it is taken that you would have seen the advertisement that is in the newspapers. Again, we know it may not be matching up to what is happening in the world, because how many persons buy the newspapers? A lot of it is now online.
Yes,
you
exactly.
have to subscribe. But it is a way. It actually, and it also provides that we can serve notice in the gazettes, and the persons who use the gazettes are mainly lawyers. The individuals are not using the gazettes, so we hardly really do ask persons to serve in the gazette, and especially if it's lay persons, it's going to be in the newspapers, and then you are considered served.
What we normally do, we deal with compensation claims. So when a gazette notice is published, sometimes we send it to the registered owner, and it gets returned. So sometimes we'll ask around, do you know XYZ? And somebody might know him, and then we'll give him a call or get an email address and send them an email. So we do some searches behind, outside the official sort of land registry thing, just to make sure that we get in touch with the owners. Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about the upcoming events, as well.
As mentioned, we're having the Northside Town Hall meeting on Thursday. It's from 6 to 8. And this is
tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yes, yeah.
It's a great opportunity for people to come out and get to know us, get to know what we offer, get to know our processes, because that's very, very critical. Sometimes you submit a document to us, we ask for something. You don't understand why we're asking for the thing. So we're able to explain why we're asking for the document. Also, we'll give you an opportunity to check your register to find out what information we hold for you, and if you need to take advantage of the waiver rectification fees that we have at the moment. Also, we're going to have Department of Planning with us, and General Registry with us. So if you have any questions regarding planning issues or General Registry issues, that's a great opportunity for you to come out. And finally, we're going to have prizes. We've got lots and lots of prizes to give out.
We already gave the surprise, so just the prizes.
And refreshments as well, as usual. So it's a great opportunity. We're really, really looking forward to it tomorrow at Northside.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah. And the one thing I would like to tell persons as well, going back to at the Northside, we're going to be at Northside Civic Center, 6 to 8 p.m. One of the things that we commit to doing as well is we'll be able to go on and check your register. And at the Northside, we will do that for free. Usually if you come to the public counter, a check without getting a copy is like $5. So we're going to do that for free. If you come up at Northside, you can check to see what address we have for you. You can check to see what your name is, to see if you need any amendments.
Excellent.
We'd be more than willing to do that for you at no additional cost. And we will also have some forms with us, so you could go through. We'll help you and go through that process to ensure that the application is correct when it's going to be submitted to us for registration.
Yeah. And at that meeting, is there any type of identification required for those persons who you may be doing things for at that point?
So we just probably ask persons to walk with a government-issued photo ID so we can verify who we're speaking to. But in any event, we will still give you the information out, and we will still try and assist you as best as we can.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to thank you all very much. Look forward to hearing how the meeting goes, and we will continue this series with you as well. Folks, I want to thank you all very much. When we return, we're going to have Dr. Steve McField in the studio with us. Lots to discuss as well. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after this short commercial break.
Did you know that you can send money transfers to financial institutions anywhere in Jamaica with JN Money?
You mean I can send money straight to my account and cut out the middleman?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. You send your own money to your own account, giving you peace of mind that the money is in your account.
JN Money Transfers to Financial Institution is another convenient service offered by JN Money. You can have this done from any JN Money location. Deposit your money straight to your account without the hassle of asking someone to do it for you. JN Money Transfers to Financial Institutions, making life easier.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, K-Man.
Heart
Heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and respiratory illnesses are among the top causes of death in Cayman every year. From June 3rd until July 31st, the Ministry of Health and Wellness will conduct the STEPS 2023 National Health Survey to better understand the prevalence of non-communicable diseases within our nation. Log on to www.gov.ky/steps to learn more.
We give you honor and praise, adoration and glory.
Radio Cayman.
Praise time.
Praise him, praise him. Come and let's praise the Lord. Come and let's praise the Lord. Praise him in the morning and in the evening. Oh, let's praise the Lord.
Praise time in the morning.
Praise him, praise him.
Weekdays 6 to 6:30 a.m.
Radio Cayman, waking you up.
Rock my soul in the blues of my favorite hand. Rock my soul in the blues of my favorite hand.
Praise time.
I know he cares. He'll always be there. Oh, yeah. Praise him, praise him, praise him.
Praise time.
Set your clock for 6 a.m. or you will miss it.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation. System one loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We have in the studio with me, I have in the studio with me now, Dr. Steve McField. So the format will be slightly different now. The phone lines, we can open them up as well. We're going to talk, two things I want to talk about this morning, Doc. First of all, Parliament meets today.
Yes.
And the strategic policy statement will be delivered. We can talk a little bit about that. I see where their opposition has put out a statement in relation to Mr. McKeever Bush being appointed to the PAC, the Public Accounts Committee.
Mm-hmm.
And we can talk a little bit about that. British Virgin Islands, they had their election on Monday. The VIP party, which is the party that controls the administration or controlled it in the previous administration, despite the fact that their premier was arrested, is on bail now in Florida for money laundering and different things. But their Dr. Natalio Wheatley, he was the deputy premier, then took over as premier once Andrew Foy was arrested. His I forget what it's called, but his party, they secured 6 seats. 2 other parties secured 3 seats each, and one party secured 1. So they didn't have the majority of 7 that they needed because they have a 13-seat legislature. And we see now Miss Lorna Smith, who is the wife of the former Premier, Dr. Orlando Smith. She moved from her party, her group of 3, and joined, and she's now the deputy premier as well. Now, I have met Ms. Lorna Smith on several occasions. As a matter of fact, she was also the head of the Financial Services Authority in the BVI. She was the head of that. She has served in various government departments, quite capable. So from my personal standpoint, it is good to see her, as part of the government, because they have, considerable challenges that they're receiving. But again, it goes back to show you, with these various parties, they knew that it was going to have to be a coalition, government to begin with, but at least it is not independence per se. And we can talk a little bit about the system of voting that they have over there as well, because I think it's 4 seats that are determined by at large, while the other 9 are, based on constituencies
yes.
As well. And that is something that we probably may want to take a look at here in the Cayman Islands. And then, of course, I want to thank Mr. Billis Samamba, for this, providing me with an electronic copy of the Court of Appeals ruling in relation to the appeal, we had the appeal from the IAT decision that went to the Grand Court
because Judge Walters.
Yes, and then they appealed that decision. I think that is extremely important, because we have to talk about that a little bit. And this morning, I'm going to put myself on a limb to a certain extent, because while I'm a member of, one of the boards, the Business Staff and Plan Board, and, you be careful about what you say. It's not, I'm going to ensure that I don't take any secrets out. But I'm going to express some of my personal views, and I say this in expressing those. I'm not going to defame anyone or any entity, but if the authorities at the end of the day say, well, OC's running his mouth too much and he's on one of these boards, let's take him off the board. I don't have a problem with that. I say to them, do so if you feel, because my obligation and my allegiance is more to the people of the Cayman Islands. And when you look at the ruling, and I'm no lawyer, but I'm glad that the way that the judgment was set out, that laypersons can actually follow it. We are in a very precarious place in the Cayman Islands when it comes to Caymanians and Caymanians' identity, and we have to find a way around that as well. That ruling has, significant implications in relation to our Bill of Rights and everything else. And I have an opinion in relation to what we need to do. We talk about, for instance, when development is taking place, the East-West Arterial, we're talking about an environmental impact study. We need to do a cultural and a survival impact study for Caymanians. And one of my suggestions is going to be, and I think your chair, this is probably along her line of work as well. We need some sort of professional to look at the population trends in the Cayman Islands, to look at the growth of our population, either through, and the Caymanian population, either through birth or through other means, and to project 10, 15, 20 years where we are going to be. Because I'm of the view, without any empirical evidence to support it, I am of the view that at some point in time, the identity of the Caymanian is going to be completely lost. That will be worse than any environmental impact that some of the infrastructure works that we're putting in place will have, because we would have lost a whole society, and we have to take this thing serious. So we have to make decisions as to whether or not we want to continue down this path of 8 years, and not year 9 you can apply for residency, because we see the courts and our Bill of Rights and everything leaning more towards those who are seeking to come here, those who we have invited here to work here, leaning more in their favor than it is towards the Caymanians. And if we don't address it now, we're going to be a lost society soon, Doc.
Well, first of all, thanks for giving me the update about the British Virgin Islands. I happen to know Dr. Wheatley. Dr. Wheatley.
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
He and I, he was a diplomat in Europe when I was working for the government. And when I was traveling, representing the Cayman Islands, with the overseas territories, meetings and stuff, and before the UN, the Decolonization Committee, he and I were the ones who drafted the association, the memorandum of understanding to implement the overseas countries and territories associations in the Caribbean, and that was implemented sometime, I think, in 2012, 2010, maybe 2011 in the high overseas meetings in Curacao. He's a very capable man. I know him. I know him well. And secondly, thanks for your overview of the result of the immigration tribunal case. As you know, I am chairman of the status permanent residence and status board, and I also chair the committee that has been set up now by the cabinet to examine the point system and to give a report on how that is going to go from after we give the reports to the cabinet. That's a political decision, not my decision.
Yes.
And also, we have started working on the Boundary Commission with Dr. Hadley from Washington, D.C., who represents the governor. I represent the government, and Adriana Webb represents the opposition. We took 3 days, and we have been through some of the constituencies. And sure enough, Dr. Hadley was surprised to see in 8 years how this country has grown. And what we have been doing is looking at the areas of the country where the growth is continuing, where we can predict this is how many people are going to be in this particular area in a particular amount of years by the apartments that are being erected and the houses that are being built and population growth out there. So and of course, you know, we are going to present the best international standards. We're going to say to the government, this is what you have to do for the best international standard. This is what this is the alternative, and this is the second alternative that you have to do. I am with you. I was
okay. I'm told we got to go to the commercial break, so I'm going to break you off there, Doc, and then come back to you, folks. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Can you imagine your home completely organized? At Brand Source Custom Closets, we can. We specialize in designing and building custom closets and storage units for any room in your home, including the garage. With tailored designs and custom LED lighting solutions to fit your lifestyle and budget. Our custom closets expert is committed to enhancing the value of your home with a solution that is uniquely yours. Visit our showroom or call 623-6774 to schedule a no-obligation appointment with our design expert. Brand Source Custom Closets, 209 Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park.
Heart disease, cancer, Diabetes and respiratory illnesses are among the top causes of death in Cayman every year. From June 3rd until July 31st, the Ministry of Health and Wellness will conduct the STEPS 2023 National Health Survey to better understand the prevalence of non-communicable diseases within our nation. Log on to www.gov.ky/steps to learn more.
At Kirk's Home Center, we can make your life much better. We got it all together. We got a great deal in store for you. From cookware to stereos, from power tools to plumbing supplies. Yeah, we got the best goods with the best price and a service to make you smile. At Kirk's Home Center, we got a great deal in store for you.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Dr. Steve McField. We do have a caller, so we are going to grab the caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
See, how are you?
Good morning. I'm fine. How are you, my friend?
Hanging in there. And good morning to Macfield, Dr. Macfield.
Yes. Good morning.
Yeah, this you know me. Doc, I want to remind you something you said a few weeks ago. When you said Rupert was married to one of them. Now, my mother and my father is at rest now. If you could do me a favor and do the public a favor, don't refer to her as know about Rupert was married to one of them. Don't do that again, please. I'm just begging you and asking you not to do that. If you're going to talk about my parents, you talk about them in a good manner.
Can you refresh your memory in terms of what context that was said?
Well, he was discussing something about, I don't even know where he come up with that from, but about, I guess it was something to do with people black married to mightn't be 100% white person, but Rupert was married to one of them. Because he was trying to say what his grandmother told him about certain complexions or whatever. And he ended his conversation with Rupert was married to one of them. I mean, that ain't no way to talk about people that have built this country. And I got to tell you and the doctor something. If you're going to talk about people, address them in the proper manner or refer to people as such. Talk to them in the proper manner.
Well, caller, I will say this. If something was said that you felt was offensive, we apologize for it here. But you have known that in the past, I have read articles in the Tradewinds newspaper and things, about your father and your and his efforts and his contribution in developing the Cayman Islands, in particular with Tepu Turin. I think I have even shared photographs, with your father on the drag line and things of that nature. So we have always here on Radio Cayman strive to treat everyone with respect, with the respect that they deserve. And if it came across that way, I'm man enough to apologize for that.
And you can understand what it said. You can play it back or see. I'm sure you're capable of doing that.
I didn't get the first part of what you said just now because before playback, what did you say? Sorry, can you repeat it?
He was referring something about his grandmother saying this and that, and he said Rupert was married to one of them.
Okay.
That's what he said.
And I'm not denying that it was said. I'm not even going to go back and look at it. I'm saying now, if that was what was said, we apologize profusely here on Radio Cayman for it.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, caller. Doc, over to you.
So as I was saying before, I had a chance to peruse the judgment after I got it from you yesterday, and I was sort of appalled, really, that our Grand Court got it right in this judgment, and the Court of Appeal completely got it wrong. And what they seem to be doing is they seem to be saying that, well, your point system is okay. It is okay. It is not ultra virus, the Constitution. It's okay. And it's okay that you have a point system in which people have to obtain 110 points in able to acquire permanent residence. But if they're not able to obtain 110 points, then there should be some way outside of the point system in which we can allow them to stay on, and taking into a fact that they're entitled to family life under Section 9 of the Constitution, which mirrors the European Convention of Human Rights, Article 8 of the European Convention of Human Rights, and it says that, and it says because the point system does not allow, it says here, however, the absence of any provisions which allows for consideration of Section 9 factors, that's for family life, other than within the point system, and the legislative exclusion of any possibility of granting permanent residence other than under the system, are, for the reasons we have given, incompatible with the Bill of Rights. So it says it's incompatible because it doesn't give anyone the right to remain here other than under the point system. And so it says because they refer to what's happening in the UK, that the UK has they say the UK has revived, and it says UK rules have been held to be capable of permitting the tribunals and the courts to consider individuals' factors and balance them against the public interest. And in the Cayman Islands, however, it says there exists no such possibility. It is true that the legislation and rules fulfill, it is true that the legislation and rules fulfill the important factor of transparency, clarity, and consistency, to which Lord Bingham referred to in Huang. They provide for grants of permanent residence to be consistent with the social and economic needs of the islands. Moreover, they are the product not merely of departmental guidance, but of debate and decline and decision of the Parliament. But they must comply with the Bill of Rights. And in our judgment, the failure to afford any opportunity whatever to consider a case without the point system, that means outside the point system, is incompatible with Section 9. It is not possible to say that in every case the point system will itself adequately take into consideration the impact of a refusal on an individual's private or family life. So in other words, what the court is saying, you have your point system. People have to gain 110 points. That's fine. If they don't gain 110 points, then you should find another way to allow them to stay. And then the respondents, which was the Attorney General's office and the Immigration Board, Appeal Tribunal, argue that there's another way because there's a cabinet grant. But they say the cabinet grant is not adequate to deal with that.
That argument there I found a little bit surprising, because when they referred to Section 53, I think it is, of the immigration law, that really speaks to the part about gainful occupation. It doesn't speak to, I don't think that there's anything in our immigration law now that allows the cabinet to grant permanent residence. So I think,
That's right.
I think the respondents got that wrong. And I believe that the courts got that wrong in terms of their interpretation as well, because that section deals with gainful occupation license and who the cabinet can exempt from gainful occupation, requiring a gainful occupation license. Like, for instance, you have some statutory authorities that may apply for their own work permits, but if they wanted to, they could apply to cabinet and say, we would be, we would like our entity to be exempt from requiring work permits for our non-Caymanian employees, and cabinet to grant that. I think the Health Services Authority, for instance, has that. But I don't believe that there's any provision in there for the cabinet to grant permanent residence. I believe that they may have gotten that wrong. I could be wrong.
Permanent residence, cabinet grants permanent residence comes from the board.
Yes.
It comes from recommendation of the board.
Yes.
And even though it comes from recommendation of the board, it has to go to the parliament too to be ratified. So it's not just cabinet grant, it has to be a parliamentary grant, really. So I find it very disturbing, and it personally I'm not speaking as the head of any board or head of any committee, that the government should appeal this decision.
Okay, we're going to go to a commercial break. When we return, I'm going to read part of the judgment where the president, in his introduction speaks to it, because I think this is very important for our listeners and viewers to share, to hear as well, for those who have not been privy to the actual judgment. Folks, top of the hour headline news. Please stay tuned. Stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services Authority.
Parliament is scheduled to meet today starting at 10 a.m. with the presentation of government's strategic policy statement as the highlight of the third meeting of this session. Make sure to tune into our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, to hear the proceedings live. U.S. officials say the Islamic State group mastermind thought to have planned the devastating 2021 bombing at Kabul airport has been killed by Afghanistan's ruling Taliban. The bombing that August killed 170 civilians and 13 U.S. soldiers as people were trying to flee the country, and the Taliban took control. The IS figure was killed weeks ago, but it took time to confirm his death. His name has not been released. A former Sudanese politician wanted for alleged crimes against humanity has said he and other former officials are no longer in jail following reports of a breakout. Ahmed Haroun, who was among those being held in Cobra prison in the capital, Khartoum, are facing charges by the International Criminal Court. A ceasefire between fighting military factions largely appears to be holding, but there are doubts about both sides' commitment to a lasting peace. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
The headline news are brought to you by Health Services Authority.
HSA's cardiology clinic is now located at Smith Road Medical Center. Our cardiology team provides expert care and treatment for heart conditions such as coronary artery disease, heart failure, arrhythmias, hypertension, congenital heart diseases, among others. The new location offers state-of-the-art cardiac diagnostic testing, including echocardiograms, ECGs, and stress tests. To contact, call 949-8600. At HSA, your heart matters to us.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
We also want to get the copies of the test.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, we have Dr. Steve McPhail. We believe, and we know that one of our listeners, and I would say call him a contributor as well to the show, Mr. Billy Samamba, has his views on this. He has shared a copy of the judgment with us. this has huge implications for the Cayman Islands, and in particular, the exercise that is being undertaken at the moment in relation to reviewing the point system and the whole procedure for permanent residents as well, because folks, we do have challenges here in the Cayman Islands. It is something that needs to be addressed because it has existential implications for Caymanians, and my view for generational Caymanians, and how long that we will be able to identify ourselves as native Caymanians per se. So the judgment is in relation to we had Joey Delosa Bure, who's the first appellant, Leon Sunil Carmo de Souza, the second appellant, the Immigration Appeals Tribunal as the first respondent, and the Attorney General of the Cayman Islands as the second respondent. The members of the Court of Appeal, the Right Honorable Sir John Goldring as president, the Honorable John Martin KC, one of the justices of the appeal, and the other, Sir Richard Field, a justice of the appeal. Mr. Alistair David of HSM Chambers appeared for the appellants, and Miss Claire Allen of the Attorney General's Chambers appeared for the respondents. This was held, the hearing was held on the 7th of December of 2022. The draft of the judgment was circulated on the 13th of March 2023, and the judgment was delivered on the 30th of March 2023. And all of the members of the Court of Appeals contributed to the decision. Now, in the remarks, here's what the president said. Says many people wish to work in the Cayman Islands. Many of those permitted to do so wish permanently to reside there when their permits to work expires. We want to take note of that, Doc, because we want to come back to that later on. Unsurprisingly, the government of the Cayman Islands has determined it is necessary both to control the number of work permits and the number of those subsequently granted permanent residence. In broad terms, a person may, after the 8th anniversary of being granted a work permit, apply for permanent residence. In order to obtain such residence, such a person must attain at least 110 points on the basis of a cabinet-prescribed point system. If he fails to do so, he may appeal to the first respondent, that is, the Immigration Appeals Tribunal. If that appeal fails, permission to reside on the basis of his immigration permission ceases at its expiry. The first and second appellants are respectively Philippine and Indian nationals. Each was granted a work permit. On their expiration, they applied for permanent residence. They both failed to achieve 110 points. Their subsequent appeal to the first respondent appeals to the first respondents were dismissed. Their appeal to the Grand Court on matters of law were dismissed by Walters J. acting. It is against his judgment that they now appeal. It is the case of each appellant that he has established a private life in the Cayman Islands. So the argument is on the establishment of private life in the Cayman Islands, that the first respondent's failure to consider that renders the decision to refuse their application for permanent residence contrary to their rights under Section 9 of the Cayman Islands Bill of Rights, and that their cases should be remitted to the first respondent for reconsideration. It further submitted that the statutory provisions are incompatible with Section 9 of the Bill of Rights. He goes on to say there is a secondary issue, namely whether there was procedural unfairness in the application of the statutory provisions to one or both of these appellants, in that the question and their answers in the history and culture tests, factors 6 of the cabinet prescribed point system, were not disclosed to them. He goes on to say that in granting leave to appeal, the president stated, this proposed appeal raises important issues of principle regarding the interplay between the points system and Section 9 of the Cayman Islands Constitution. It also raises issues with respect to disclosure in immigration appeals. These are matters which, in my view, justify consideration by the Court of Appeal. So the two areas that they felt needed to be taken into consideration. Now, Doc, I want to go back for a second. And when he talks about the history, most people wish to work in the Cayman Islands. Well, first of all, they wish to work here. They find an employer, and the Cayman Islands will grant a work permit to them. First of all, that is not a right. It is a privilege. It's a privilege.
That's right.
Okay. Then it goes on to say, many of those permitted to do so wish to permanently remain there when their permit has expired. Well, I would have to look back and see what the permits say now. But initially, under the 1972 Caymanian Protection Law, the letter that a work permit holder receives clearly states that this in no way, the granting of this work permit in no way should give rise to any expectations of the right to remain permanently in these islands. So whether or not a person comes here on a work permit, then they can't say from the get-go, from the start, that my intentions are to reside permanently in the Cayman Islands. If that is the case, then they should try to qualify under the other provisions of our law, where if you are a person of independent means or you're able to invest in the Cayman Islands, then we have provisions for that. But you cannot come here on a work permit as in whatever occupation and make up your mind from day one that you're going to reside permanently in the Cayman Islands. If that is the case, then we're in serious, serious danger, Doc.
Yes, because because bearing in mind that we have like 38,000 work permits now. Can you imagine if all of those people say they have the right to remain after the 8-year period, what's going to happen 8 years from now?
Exactly. So what I'd like for you to do, Doc, I know you always have a copy of your Constitution. Yes. We're going to take a commercial break. I want you to find the Section 9 in our Bill of Rights and let our listening and viewing audience know what that means. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you're remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Dr. Steve McField. Doc, before you go to that, we do have a caller. Let's grab the caller first. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hello, good morning, Mr. O'Connor, and good morning, Dr. McField.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I just have a question for Dr. McField. Obviously, he's an expert in the Constitution field. So, and Mr. Connor, I know you are ex-immigration chief, so you may be able to add to this question. One thing I want to ask, and to your point, Mr. Connor, earlier, is that if there aren't certain provisions to prevent people from making up their mind that if they're on a work permit to stay here permanently, we have a serious problem, because there are other provisions, right? Mm-hmm. But my question is this: is when a person come here on a temporary or even a 1 year or a 2 year work permit, and depending on their job level, on whatever job they have, because I'm not talking about the persons who come here to work at the gardening companies or the supermarkets, right? I'm talking about, let's just say some others on a 6 month or 1 year work permit temporarily in the financial service industry, and they're a lawyer or an accountant, and they have the financial means in the first calendar year to buy property in Cayman. Wouldn't that qualify them to then subscribe to the permanent residency based on the point system?
That would help. Yes, yeah.
That's one of the factors. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right. So the reason why I asked that question is because I personally is a very social person, and I socialize quite often, right? And over the last, I would say, 25 years, you know, I think I've been a responsible adult enough to have observations to say to myself, okay, I've seen a clear transition in the population of Cayman, because back in the 80s and the early 90s, the majority of our work permits was for lack of a better term, common laborers. You know, construction, gardening, helpers, whatnot. Those were the persons who took up the lion's share of the permit grant, right?
And I think they still do to a certain extent.
That still obtains.
Right. That's still up again. But one thing we have to pay attention to is that the financial service industry and the tourism industry has also grown. Mm-hmm. And it has also brought in other people in those industries that are now working who has the capability to apply for permanent residency, even if it's after a 1 or 2 year. We know the rollover policy didn't necessarily work, in my opinion. If it was left up to me, it would have been a 2 year rollover policy. I think people need to be reminded where they come from a lot sooner than 7 years, as far as I'm concerned. But again, I only asked the question because I wasn't sure how the laws are laid where. And to Mr. Connor's point, he said, you know, if a person has financial means to take care of themselves, you know, there are other platforms for them to apply to be.
Yes.
Right, but to take because remember, you know, when they get in here and they get a job and they see how laid back and complacent and smiling, wavy we are, and they say to themselves, gee, well, why would I want to go back to my country if I don't have to? All I would have to do is work hard enough to get a piece of property that would qualify me to even be considered to be a resident in the Cayman Islands. So personally, I think that, you know, we need some reform in that regard, so we can understand what it is we're trying to attract here and where we plan to be in the future. Because Dr. McField said something just now that I didn't realize it had gone to that amount of 38,000 work permits. Mm-hmm. That's more than half of the last consensus or census population of 72,000. So that's a very scary figure. So I just wanted to get some clarity on the legal issues when it comes to a person come here on a temporary or a long-term work permit. No matter, they can still buy property because there's no laws against them buying property.
Yeah. Caller, let's take your argument a little further when you mentioned the fact that you have, persons in the financial services industry or in the legal profession who, based on their salary, year one or year two, they from a financial position, they're able to qualify. I think what we have to look at in this country now, so that everyone is on an equal footing, the lawyer, the person in financial services, the person who is working for a landscaping company or something like that.
Right.
We need to set a quota like we used to have before for Caymanian status. I believe that we should look at the legality of establishing a quota for permanent residents. When we establish that quota, every application or every applicant is put into a barrel, and you spin that barrel around, and you have a lottery system whereby, based on that quota, these are the number of persons. So it is the luck of the draw for everyone.
Person, to your point, Mr. Connor, that is absolutely, fabulous, and that makes perfect sense. And I tell you why, because if we continue to set a bar through a point system that only caters to those people who can afford it, then that's exactly what we're going to get. We're going to get the smaller end, we're going to get the lower end of the lower income people never ever having an opportunity to qualify, and only those people who are on the upper part of that is, and then these are the very same people who become a part of our fabric and then object to everything that we want to do morally and culturally on who we are, and that's where I have an issue. So
and they're the ones that mounted the challenges then for others to be able to come in.
That's absolutely right. That's why you see a lot of resistance to them wanting us to change the permanent residency policy and how it operates, because they know that it's specifically geared towards them.
So what it's and sir, and additionally to what happens now is when these people from the lower income brackets who have been working here providing a service also can't comply with the point system to qualify for permanent residence, then they engage into things that like unlawful marriages or
conveniences and all that.
Marriage of convenience and so forth like that. That's a truism.
It is, and I'll end with this. And if people in the Cayman Islands don't understand that 99% of the development today is geared towards the people who can afford to pay for permanent residences, they make a sad mistake. Because average person can't buy an $800,000 two-bedroom apartment on Cool Road. I'm sorry, we can't afford it.
Well, but that is because ownership of property is one of the factors in which you get a lot of points. If you don't have Cayman connection, that is the next large amount of points, the factor that gives you the large amount of points. And it says that if you have a property that is worth $500,000 or more, you get all the points under that factor, which is like 30 points under that factor. And so it's no coincidence that all of the apartments are $500,000 or nearly all of them or more. And so what that has done, it puts an apartment out of the reach of the average Caymanian worker. He cannot afford to buy that anymore. And then the government now has to spend the money to go in now to is what they call, I don't call them low income houses anymore because $300,000 for a house is not low income.
No.
And so that's a further burden on the public purse.
And that also identifies a specific sort of demographics in which they want to populate the island with, and you can see it. It's a telltale sign. The work permit, the permanent residence system and the point system geared towards the development and the cost of development on this island. And nobody can tell me that I'm not clear writing on the wall, and it needs to be reformed. So absolutely, and I support that 100%. So anybody who put the first application to have reform in that regard, I support that 100%. Anyway, I listening on you guys. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you very much, caller, for contributing as well. Doc, let's look at the Bill of Rights.
Yes. You know, the Court of Appeal mentioned Section 9 of the Bill of Rights so many times.
Yes.
And that just let me share with your readers, with your listeners, what the Section 9 says. It's headed under it's heading private and family life. And it says, Section 9(1) says, government shall respect every person's private and family life, his or her home, and his or her correspondence, except with his or her own consent, or as permitted under Section 3, no person shall be subject to the search of his or her person, or his or her property, or the entry of persons on his or her premises, notwithstanding any law done under its authority shall be held to contravene this section. That's mean the section I just read. This section, to the extent that it is reasonably justifiable in a democratic society. A, in the interest of defense, public safety, public order, public morality, public health, town and country planning, or the development or utilization of any other property in such manner as to promote the public benefit. And B, for the purpose of protecting the rights of freedoms of other persons. And C, to enable an agent of the government or a public body established by law to enter onto the premises of any person in order to inspect those premises or anything on them for the purpose of any tax, rate, or due, or in order to carry out works connected with any property that is lawfully on those premises and that belongs to the government or that public body. And D, to authorize for the purpose of enforcing the judgment or order of the court, the search of any person or property by order of the court, or the entry of any premises by such order, or E, to regulate the rights to enter or remain in the Cayman Islands. So that is what Section 9 of the Bill of Rights entails. But the most important thing is the first part of the section 9(1) subsection 1, where it says government shall respect every person's private and family life, his or her home, and his or her correspondence. And what it means by family life, it's not a law, but it is the relationship you have with a family, wife, husbands, siblings, parents.
But they seem to extend it to friends and business relationships.
Yes, that's what they're trying to do now. So that's what is meant by family life, the relationship you have, and it has to be some sort of close relationship with your family, with your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your grandmother, your grandfather. But when you read this Section 9, it tells you that it is the quality and the nearness of the relationship that is very important, because you can have family in the Cayman, but you don't have the family life with them, and so that's what the courts will look after, the nearness and the closeness of the family, of the relationship that the applicant has with his family.
Okay, Doc, we do have a caller on hold. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we're going to take that caller. I want you to find that section in the judgment, the right to private life, because it is interesting that in that part of the judgment, the justices say, for clarity's sake, it is not the appellant's position that anyone who establishes a quote unquote private life in the Cayman Islands is required to be granted permanent residence. And what does that mean? Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Since March 2004, West Bay Pharmacy has kept their doors open to the local communities, even before, during, and after Hurricane Ivan. At West Bay Pharmacy, our staff provides so much more than pharmaceutical excellence. From the moment you walk through our doors to completing your cash out, our staff will have put your healthcare concerns at ease. We would like to take this moment to thank our loyal friends and customers. To us at West Bay Pharmacy, our patients are our primary concern. We provide thorough background checks and precise calculations to ensure your medical safety. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
Ensuring your existing appliances and equipment are cleaned and maintained regularly is an easy way to improve energy efficiency in your home.
Have your air conditioning equipment serviced by a professional. Make sure bathroom and kitchen exhaust fans and refrigerator coils are cleaned regularly, because the harder your appliances have to work, the higher your bills will be.
The do-it-yourself energy audits on energy.gov.ky make it easy to find ways to save energy and money in your home or business.
Complete an energy audit of your home or business before 31st of May 2023 to be entered into a prize giveaway. Prizes include a $5,000 gift certificate to Home Gas and gift certificates to Cooling Pros, Foam Pros, Cossy Lest, and Foster's.
To learn more, visit energy.gov.ky today and follow the National Energy Policy on Facebook and Instagram.
She hear clunk and her car stop. I was just about to send her some money, so I send it straight to her JN Money Transfer card. It cost me less, and perhaps she use the card, pay the garage right away. She'll get discount through the JN Rewards program in Jamaica. This card make things easy. You can even get funds at any multi-link ATM.
JN Money Transfer Card. Fast, affordable, convenient. Tell your loved ones in Jamaica about it. Sign up is free.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Dr. Steve McField. One caller on hold. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Minister. How are you?
Not too bad, and good morning to your listening audience. I was calling in because I was overhearing the conversation, which is so vital and so important. I had to chime in because it's become relevant over the last couple of days for myself as a representative, and I wanted to give the public some insight into where I am mentally with this. First off, I want to say that the caller previously, Mr. Mario Rankin, is right on point in respect to a lot of what he said. But more importantly, I am really, really worried about where we're going in respect to immigration. Mm-hmm. And the reforms that we're talking about are almost mandatory in my mind, to the point where I've had conversations with the new governor just yesterday about these concerns. Mm-hmm. And I've asked in her capacity as the overseas representative on international obligations that we have an opportunity to revisit some of these obligations that affect our lives in these ways, because obviously we are wanting to be committed to the obligations as an overseas territory, but some of those obligations have negative effects on the development of our society and the protections of our people and our culture and our heritage. And we have to have another conversation about it, because I think they recognize themselves some of the things that have immigration effects on us are adversely harming the survival of the people of the Cayman Islands. And I mean that literally, because before long, there won't be any of us. Yep. With that being said, one of the things that I've found out recently in some research is that this legislation or this legal advice that was used somewhat 16 to 20 years ago to create this point system was done by the private sector and not by the Attorney General's office, in respect to saying that a person can apply for the right to be in the Cayman Islands after 10 years, and therefore they created this policy of being able to be rolled over at year 9. I've questioned about that, and the Attorney General's office has advised me that that was not their advice, and they don't necessarily agree with that advice. And with that new...
If I could interrupt you there for a second, as the chief immigration officer at the time, and we had Miss Shara Borden was involved in immigration review, Mr. Ralston Anglin, Sir Alden McLaughlin, Mr. Gilbert McLean, several were. We looked at various legislation. It was recognized that if you allowed persons to remain and work in your jurisdiction for a given period of time, that there was some legal obligation, international legal obligation, to give them the right to apply, not to grant, to be granted, the right to apply to remain permanently, to give them some security of tenure. That was arrived at by the committee that had been established to review the immigration legislation. I was part of that committee, so I know.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you clarified that in respect to what the committee finding was, but I go based on the legal advice to the government. Not trying to be facetious in any way, but if the legal advisor to the Cayman Islands is of a different view, this committee's viewpoint, which we recognize the current state of advice is not good for Cayman, because we're at a 9-year rollover policy, and the place is going crazy by way of population.
Mm-hmm. But again, Minister, I'm going to interrupt you there just for a second, just to say that while that committee, established and then went to legislative drafting and everything to have all of this done, it was a decision by the cabinet at the end of the day to accept the legislation that had been put together. Cabinet approved that. And the Attorney General's office, the Attorney General in his capacity as a member of Cabinet would have been there. So I don't think that they can pass the blame on to anyone else. We have to accept it. This was something that we adopted ourselves. It was it was recommended by the committee. It was accepted by Cabinet. It was put into legislation, and our legislators approved it.
Okay, thank you, OC. Again, I'm not here to place blame, but to recognize that it's something that others disagree with from a legal advisory perspective. And I don't want it to come off as to say I'm blaming you or the committee or anybody.
No. I just wanted to clarify, the stages.
Okay, and you're right, Dave, because the government of the day at that time did approve it. Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying now, as a new legislator for this country, and as a member who represents the Cayman Islands and all of its people, and the fact that the people of this country recognize that the current immigration structure is not working, and that means there needs to be full reform. In my capacity as a cabinet minister, I've asked the governor that we can sit down and review this from a holistic level, from an international obligation perspective. And of course, the point reform thing belongs to the minister, and we are already agreeing to have a caucus discussion about that. So I'm waiting for the minister to bring that so we can advise the people what we're doing. But what I'm saying is the foundation to why we're at this point now where people are almost guaranteed to become Caymanian is on the basis of that formation some 16 to 20 years ago, and it has to change because there is dissenting views in respect to what that legal advice says, and we see that just by mere examples of other jurisdictions who are also a part of the Commonwealth who don't necessarily agree to that structure. For example, Bermuda, BVI, and so forth. And they're obligated to almost the same, not all, but most of the same principles of the Commonwealth. So if they can stop people from coming in and not obligatory have to give them these rights of rights of tenure to Cayman, so can the Cayman Islands do it. And we got to stop being afraid of saying, listen, you can come here, you can live here, you can participate, but you're not going to get the rights to be Caymanian, because that's why we're losing now, and we soon lose our parliament. The parliament is the next one.
Oh, yes. Believe me, that's going to be the next challenge.
So to wrap it up, because I don't want to take up all your time, I want to say to you that I'm committed, and I'm going to be talking about it in the strategic policy statement today. Because while we have traffic, while we have cost of living, while we have housing and everything else, there's another immediate elephant in the room that we're not paying attention to, which is we're being lost as a society, as a people, and we have to take a serious look at immigration and the current structure it is, and that is on us. And I'm going to put put the public on notice for us as legislators, my government, and I blame nobody else because we are in charge now. We have to do this, and if we don't do it at the end of this term, between now and when we're out, we have failed the people of this country. So I call the vent because I'm frustrated about the fact that where we are, the immigration numbers of 38,000 work permits. And once they get to year 7, it's almost a guarantee based on the point system. We're in trouble if we don't do something now. And Dr. Steve Macfield, I thank you every day for keeping that pressure on because you are grassroots and you are one of those persons that Caymanians listen to say, as a legal mind, if he's saying so, something is wrong. So keep up the fight in that respect. I'll leave you gentlemen there.
Minister, just before you go,
Minister.
Before you go, can I make a suggestion to you?
Please.
And
yes, sir.
This is extremely important. I don't know and I don't believe that the Economics and Statistics Office has a demographer in there. I propose that we seek an independent demographer to determine, to look at the trends, the population trends in the Cayman Islands in terms of our population growth. Those demographers can predict based on the current growth structure where we will be 10 years, 15, 20 years from now, because I believe that we have to use as a persuasive argument the moral imperative of us retaining our Caymanian identity. And the only way that we're able to do that if we do not become overrun by other nationalities. And those demographers can tell you, based on the trend that we're going, when the Cayman Islands, you will not be able to identify a Caymanian any longer. I would ask you to push for that, because everything has to be data driven, and those who then seek to ignore the data when it is presented, then they do so at their own peril.
And Minister, do you realize that the last census, a lot of people were undercounted?
Well, I'm not aware of that.
And the population is now 81,000 plus.
Well, Doc, I wouldn't want to suggest or agree with you by saying they're undercounted to undermine the Economic and Statistics Office. I think
that's a fact. That's a fact.
What I would agree with you on is, since that census, the growth of our economy has shot up unprecedentedly because of the post-COVID development, and that the numbers could be really off now because when we did that, we were in the middle of COVID, or we weren't fully open yet, and the work permit numbers wasn't fully there yet. So yes, I would say there's probably a substantial amount, from 10 to 15% variance in respect to those numbers. But I wouldn't want to undermine the hard work that they've done to say that they didn't count all of them.
We're not undermining that. We're saying that there were more people there's more people than what the census numbers. There were more people. Some people were not counted. I don't know if what happened, but there were some of them, and we found that out when we started to review the boundaries.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think there will always be a gap at some degree, whether it's a 0.5%, 2%. There's always a gap. But I think that the numbers that we're working on are numbers that gives you a snapshot in time when they did that count.
Okay.
I think that was a year and a half ago. And what has happened in respect to our growth and development of our society since then has been exorbitant. So with that being in place, I believe you're right to assume that it's way off now.
Yeah,
it could be off by almost 15,000 people, if not more. So I agree with you. We have to keep our eyes on this, and I'm committed to that, because even if you don't get all the other wishes that we're expected to resolve for our people, if we don't protect the survival of our people, then all the rest of it wouldn't even make sense.
Yes.
So, gentlemen, I'll leave you there.
Thank you, Minister.
Strategic policy statement today, and I encourage those of you who are listening, please listen to it, because we are your representatives. If we're not saying enough for you, you need to tell us. So I love you all. God bless you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you, Minister. Folks, we're going to take a commercial break. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Washing your clothes in cold water can save you 90% of your washing machine energy usage.
Using LED light bulbs uses 75% less energy than regular bulbs, and they last 25 times longer. Keeping your appliances and equipment cleaned and maintained regularly will reduce your monthly electricity bill.
The do-it-yourself energy audits on energy.gov.ky make it easy to find ways to save energy and money in your home or business.
Complete an energy audit of your home or business before 31st of May 2023 to be entered into a prize giveaway. Prizes include a $5,000 gift certificate to Home Gas and gift certificates to Cooling Pros, Foam Pros, Costulest, and Foster's.
To learn more, visit energy.gov.ky today and follow the National Energy Policy on Facebook and Instagram.
And just to remind you, the third meeting of the 2022-2023 session of Parliament starts today at 10. As usual, Radio Cayman will be airing the proceedings live on Breeze 105.3 and 91.9, with a repeat broadcast tonight at 7:30 on Radio Cayman 89.9 and 93.9. So the Parliament proceedings beginning this morning at 10 on 105.3 and 91.9.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
West Bay Pharmacy. Personalized medicine, customized care to meet your specific needs. Your body is unique to you. Your medicine should be too. Whether you're seeking individual-specific medication, correct size dosages, or simply better tasting medicine, ask your pharmacist or healthcare provider about how compounding at West Bay Pharmacy can increase your treatment options, not only for your family, but for your pets too. West Bay Pharmacy, open Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sundays and most holidays from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We're on the last leg of the show this morning with Dr. Steve McPhail. We do have a caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Morning, Mr. Jose.
Good morning. How are you?
Okay, very good. Morning, Mr. McPhail.
Good morning, sir.
I think as a young voter, I am kind of struggling with my reasons for voting, because as the member clearly stated in his previous call, it is those that we have elected that have got us into this situation, mainly those who were in charge of immigration and those who were in part of drafting these arrangements for, well, you have to have some kind of arrangements for having people in your community. Mm-hmm. But we are not. We are in a disaster kind of thing that has been created, and I clearly see that it is the members that were elected and people that were a part of immigration that has got my life like this. So when they're going to say now that we should go and vote, I'm clearly going to think twice. Well, look what you've done so far. I voted 3 to 4 times in my life, and my life only got better because I had persistence to make it better. Mm-hmm. But otherwise than that, the government created excessive competition for me and a job that I am in. And I got to hold somebody accountable. And it just so happens to be the people that I trust most to look out for me. They've let me down. They've let a lot of people down, and this is what this is about. And Kenneth is saying,
do you think do you think that was intentional, or simply that the speed and the rapidity at which development and things occurred in the Cayman Islands that we really didn't have a chance to see this coming?
It's a bit of both, because the business community could see this coming. They need these resources. And, you know, they can't have all of the permits, but they have permitted so much that our lives have become this way now. And if Kenneth and his government can't change something now, we're not going to change nothing in the next coming years. And so give me a reason to vote. Okay? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, caller. Doc, over to you. Ms. Susan, we're going to close the phone lines off now because I want to say to our listening audience that we are planning on continuing this discussion on Friday. We want to go thoroughly through this this decision. We want to take a very detailed approach to it as well. Doc, over to you.
Yeah, you were saying the importance of paragraph 24 of the judgment.
Yes.
Now, this is what it says. This is what they says. It says on the 15th of January 2021, the first appellant requested the first respondent. That means the IAT, the tribunal, Immigration Appeals Tribunal. The first respondent requested the IAT to reconsider its decision. Now, that was after they said no. And then here's what the court's saying. For the first time, he raised his private life. His attorney wrote. And his attorney wrote, upon reviewing the decision of the tribunal, it would appear the tribunal erred in law in regards to Factor 4, financial stability, and have not considered the appellant's rights to a private life. In other words, they have not done that before.
Yes.
And it was only after they lost the appeal to the tribunal that they now brought up private. They brought up now private life. And then the court went on to say rights to a private life. The court said, it is noted that at the end of the decision, the tribunal went on to consider the appellant's right to a family life
in the Cayman
Islands and making reference to the case of Ellington. It would appear that the tribunal accepted that they are required to consider the appellant's family life in the Cayman Islands. However, they failed to consider his rights to a private life in the Cayman Islands.
I'm going to stop you there for a second. So it would appear that this part of it, the IAT brought it upon themselves.
That's right.
When they had the de novo hearing.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
It is a word that as the appellant had been in the Cayman Islands for roughly 12 years at the date of the tribunal decision, that he had been working in the Cayman Islands for all that period of time, and that he was part and owner of a business here, and that he had established numerous ties and friendships in the Cayman Islands. As such, the tribunal were required to consider whether the decision to reject this applicant would amount to a breach of his right to a private life. To clarity's sake, it is not the appellant's position that anyone who establishes a private life in the Cayman Islands is required to be granted permanent residence. And that is very, very important.
Not anyone, but some.
Some.
Yes. That should be added on there as well. Yes, okay.
So it seems to me that so
let's talk about the second appellant. Let's look at Section 26.
Okay.
Paragraph 26.
And then look at the second appellant now.
Yeah.
The second appellant has lived and worked in the Cayman Islands since November 2009. On the 15th of October 2018, he submitted his application to the Cayman Islands Status and Permanent Residence Board. Among other things, he emphasized how happy he was to live in the Cayman Islands and that it was his home. And then on the 25th of January 2019...
Very good question there. How in the world can you decide that the Cayman Islands are your home?
You decide. He
You can decide
He
that.
decided it's his home.
You know, there was one time in the old protection law when they used the word domicile.
Yes.
And there was this legal interpretation that domicile sometimes could be a state of mind.
State of mind, yes.
You know, in terms of where you consider to be your home.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if they were trying to use that argument there. But my God.
And the court went on to say, on the 25th of January 2019, the second appellant sat the history and culture tests. And on the 12th of March 2019, he was informed that his application for permanent residence had been refused. He having attained a total of 99.50 points. On 29th of March 2019, a notice of appeal was filed, and the notice requested the board or director of works to disclose the history and culture test questions and the answers given by the second appellant. That was that caused a lengthy argument in the courts.
Yeah. Yes.
And the court found that it would be contrary to the whole idea of what the questions are about if you give the answers before.
And the office of the ombudsman had already ruled on it, so they had went through several stages to get a copy of that, and they ruled that it was not possible. We have about 7 minutes left. I want you to look at some more of the salient points that may be here. And then on Friday, we're going to talk more about it. We're going to talk about the judgments, what was successful, what wasn't successful, and your opinion in terms of where the government should go with this, whether or not they should appeal it, because I think it has significant and important implications for the Cayman Islands to have it clear, and we don't necessarily have to accept the Court of Appeals judgment in this, because we still have the Privy Council that we could resort to as well.
That's right.
So over to you, Doc.
So just let me read the issues at the court's conclusions. Okay. So paragraph 37.
Go ahead.
There is no dispute, the court says, that the point system does not allow any separate consideration of an applicant's Section 9 rights outside that system. There is no power conferred on the immigration authorities or on the tribunals by statute or by regulations, therefore, to confer residential status and outside the point system. We consider below a submission that an application to the cabinet could be made for a declaration and the applicant is exempt. And then it went on to, as Judge Walters said, this means that there is no need nor room for the exercise of any additional discretion in that regard, and no need nor room for a separate Section 9 review. And the court went on to say the applicant's essential arguments is that either the point system itself is incompatible with their rights enshrined in Section 9 because it does not permit consideration of those rights, or that even if the system does incorporate consideration of such rights, it is an incomplete code because it does not permit any consideration of such rights outside the point system. So that's
what the point system was designed for. Yes, yeah. And they even, in one section of the judgment, they even talk about the fact that I think Christopher Aiken had, in his testimony, had spoken, about what the point system was designed for, and the mere fact that it also allows you to self-assess.
That's right.
For you to look at your particular situation, what is required, and I guess other than the history and civics and culture tests, that based on the other things like property and investments and all of those things, that you could basically self-assess.
Yes, and you should have all of those things lined up like ducks before you come to the board to make your application. So we are going to finish this on Friday, you said?
Yep.
Yes.
We're going to continue to go through this because this is extremely important. But your overview, based on what you've seen, while the government was successful, and this is the point. I have to look back at the newspapers to see what was put in there, because the representatives of these people were saying something, asking the government not to do something, because they obviously realized that the government, had recourse, that they could do something basically to thwart, what they were seeking to achieve here as well. And one of the things that should not be done, that the point system should be the basis for it, and there should not be any ability for anyone to go around that point system to say that although you didn't receive so many points,
110 points,
we're going to allow this to be considered and give it to you, because that will corrupt the system.
Exactly, it would corrupt the system, and it would be contrary to what the system was all designed to do.
Yeah, and very quickly now on another point, we'll talk about this on Friday. We see what the court suggests, right?
Yes.
Now, we saw in the case of the civil partnerships and stuff like that.
We saw the case of sex marriage.
Yes, where the governor said that there was a legal obligation. Yes, and said that if we don't do it, then the UK, should do it. I hope that we don't interpret what the Court of Appeals here has suggested here to say that we have any obligation to do it. Now, what about the question of incompatibility? Well, if they ignore the court's judgment that part of this is incompatible with Section 9, what can they have legal recourse if within a given period of time the Parliament doesn't do something about it?
I don't know. I'll have to look and see that. But
check that out and see.
I'll check that out, but they say that it's up to the Parliament, not for the courts.
Yes, exactly.
It's up for the Parliament to remedy it, and they don't know how they're going to do so, but it's up to them.
Okay, folks, make sure that you tune in on Friday. Those of you who have copies of the judgment, read it. Billy, if you're out there, it shouldn't be too cold in Canada now. You should be up and around. We want to get some feedback from you as well. And again, thank you for sharing that with me. Folks, Radio Cayman on 105.3 FM will be carrying the proceedings of our Parliament live as well. So we invite you to listen in there. Have a great day. Remember, Dr. Steve Macfield, my plans are to have him on again on Friday. We want to continue this because, folks, this has a lot to do with our existence here in the Cayman Islands. And when I say I mean us Caymanians. Have a great day. Please stay safe.
For the Record, proudly brought to you by
Coca-Cola. Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery. Inspiring luxury. West Bay Pharmacy. Taking care of your health. And JN Money. From abroad to yard. Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066. And the Ministry of Sustainability and Climate Resiliency. Visit energy.gov.ky or follow the National Energy Policy on Facebook and Instagram. And by the STEPS 2023 National Health Survey. Visit gov.ky/steps to learn more.
You are listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.